Yo, 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 what is going on, RoK Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we are back again giving you some high quality RoK goodness. We're going to be touching on what I think are usually always very important topics, not just because I'm saying them, but because I think that they're things when we talk about kingdom management, it's not something that you ever really see covered. If you go out and you look at any of the top content creators, people that have been playing RoK since day one, big names that have been coming up, the majority of the type of content that you usually see them cover is more progression based, meaning that it's more of, hey, how can I improve myself individually? How can I improve my account? How can I maximize on this event? And then kind of sprinkling in with some of like the off pieces where it's, oh, hey, here's some new updates or some new features that are coming out. And then, maybe you'll see kind of one-off videos of, hey, here's how I lead an alliance, or, here's how, you can manage your alliance a little bit here and there, maybe some one-off jumper pieces. But it's nothing that is really focused on kingdom management in its entirety. And that is not a slight at any of the other CCs. It's just, it is what it is. If you go and you look through their content, you'll notice that there's just not a lot of those types of pieces. And so, in my opinion, I actually think that kingdom management, I don't want to say genres, but just the focuses there are the most important pieces of content. I would go as far as saying that kingdom management really is about 80 to 90% of the most important content in the genre of kingdom builders, right? With the other 10 to 20% being more of, the kind of normal progression-based content. Now, if you want to conservatively say 50-50, okay. I personally just believe it's more. Why do I say that? I say that because what we have to think about, and this is going to lead into what I'm going to say here, as that we're going to talk about, which is, right, how can you build the best kingdom with probably the two most important things, right? Or better yet, how can you set your kingdom up to be the most successful, right? By writing and falling back on the two most important common denominators. That's what we're going to touch on. So, what we have to understand is that because nobody really talks about how to manage kingdoms on any kind of big platform, it's kind of a lost art. There's not really a focus on it or a priority to pay attention to it and to really develop and push that envelope, push that frontier, to be creative, to expand, to try things, to go through the trial and error process, to do research, to go out there and do comparisons. A lot of these things I've done, mainly because I just love doing it. And for those out there who may not know, right, I have, probably about 200 accounts across a couple different emails in RoK, and I've researched probably almost 400 to 500 kingdoms just in my time. And that may seem like a lowish number based on how many kingdoms there are, and maybe to some other people, they're like, okay, maybe that's actually a high number. To me, I think it's probably an average number based on how much I like to do what I do. But for me, a lot of it is about studying. It's about paying attention, right? Looking at the trends, reading between the lines, doing the research, going out there and studying other kingdoms and how they develop from a certain point to another point, right? How are they developing from day one, post KVK1, prep KVK2, post KVK2, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, leading up to LT. All of these things I think are important when it comes to how are you going to be able to make the most efficient and effective kingdom that you can, because regardless of how you build a kingdom, right, there are two things that are the most important that every kingdom wants to do, right? However, what's funny, and this is what we're going to touch on in the video, is that, I might briefly touch on it, is that not every kingdom is consistent with following through on the two most important common denominators, which are, and yeah, this is my kid's Santa cup, so I love small cups. Okay. Is that one, it's activity, right? You have to have good activity in your kingdom if you want to have, hopefully, a high turnout in your KVKs, which for us who play kingdom builders, right, KVK is pretty much the bread and butter. That's what the majority, if not every single player in a kingdom could look forward to. Doesn't mean that it's going to be the most important thing for every player. However, it is the one mode that every single player in your kingdom technically could participate in. And that's why it is the most important mode and feature that's in a kingdom builder, right? Of course, you still have, your Ark of Osiris's, your Osiris League, right? That's important for the Ark teams. But you have a limited number of people that can participate in those, which again is why KVK is the most important feature. Why? Because it can have the most amount of people in the kingdom, up to everyone participating in it. Okay, so since we've established that KVK is there, right? That is the thing that everyone is pretty much building towards. In order to have a good turnout for that, you have to have a lot of activity, right? You want to have high activity. Why? Because of something that I like to refer to as player drop-off, right? Your kingdom is going to have player drop-off from day one. And I'll dive into that more specifically, right? This is just more of a high-level overview. I'll probably make another video on that. But because player drop-off is something that affects every kingdom from day one, the moment that your kingdom is closed off and the next new kingdom comes out, you want to have the highest amount of activity, and therefore the second most important thing, which is having the highest amount of player retention that is sustaining throughout your kingdom's lifespan. More importantly, throughout the initial zones up until KVK1 or even post KVK1. So those are the two most important things that every kingdom should always be focusing on. However, what you'll notice, and we'll probably do a deep dive on this later as well, is that not every kingdom views having the same amount of alliances in Zone 1, not the most amount of alliances in Zone 2, and definitely not the most amount of alliances in Zone 3. And to show that to you, let's go ahead and let's just do like a quick check. I'm just going to go, let's just go back. I'm trying to think maybe 200 kingdoms. Let's just go to 2,500, right? I want to assume that the fog is going to be cleared there, but I'm just going to give you an example, right? Let's just look at a couple kingdoms real quick, right? And I'll show you, just again, looking at these for the first time, right? So we'll look at 2,500 and we'll just go back in ones from there. Okay, so right, even though you have time that has been established, right, in some of these kingdoms, let's mainly look just for a moment at Zone 3 and maybe Zone 2, right? Because the kingdoms aren't necessarily old enough to where Zone 1 is kind of gone, so to speak. But let's look here. So you have 3 alliances that are touching LT, right? Even though you have 3 alliances, you have this green, yellow, and purple. So you have 3 that are touching, and I view kingdoms that are able to kind of get all the way in there and be a part of it as what you would consider to be your contributing alliances. Sure, you can make an argument, maybe these are, as they call them, academies or whatever it may be, but you have 3 alliances that are touching. Okay, right? Now, let's look at 25, here, let's go backwards, okay? And I'm only just going to show a few. Oh, actually, I didn't even need to do that. I can just go up, down, left, right. I totally forgot. Okay, so now we're looking at 24.99. So 24.99, you have 2 alliances that are touching. You have 2 other alliances that are able to build in. Maybe they're building towards LT, maybe not. Purple, possibly, but you don't really see a center fort in there or a fort in there for them. But so at this point, right, you have 2 alliances. So we've seen 3 and 2, right, with some extras. So now let's see. Oh, 24. Hang on, let's go up. 20. Oh, that's 25, and this is 20. Oh, hang on, that's, where am I going here? Here we go, 24.99. Oh, here we go. Okay, good. All right, let's go left. This should put me, here we go. Nice. Yeah, I have to go left now. Okay, awesome. So 24.98. Now we'll go into, I need a little trick there. So now we'll look. Okay, so you got 24.98. They got 2 alliances. 3 is building, but pretty much 1 touching. Second might be going, right? So, I'll give you 1 that's there, right, with the second. Okay, now we'll go to 97. 97, let's look at Zone 3. And you'll see 1, 2. Okay, so 2 alliances are touching. 3 is kind of honorary, though they're blocked off. And then you have a dark blue and a red, right? So, okay, 2, 2.5, we'll say. Okay, cool. So that's 97. Now we got to go up. This should be 96. It's not. Oh, hang on. Let me try going down. Oh, I can't. Okay. Oh, never mind. It's just the higher. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Because I have to go this way, we're going to do this here. Okay. So let me let this load, 24.99, cool. Now we're going to go 2,500, and then let me go up top. which should be 2501. Cool. So here's 2501. And then we'll show you here. So you got one alliance. Okay, two alliances. Zone 3. One just got cleared out. One's touching. Second probably will go. It does look like there's space. So I'll give you two here. Okay. And then let's go 2502. And then you'll see here LT1. Okay, two alliances. 2502. And now we'll go 2503. And you'll see, what is that, two? Okay, so three alliances, right? Three alliances, a couple more building, but three alliances there. And then 2504, cool, this is the last one. And then you'll see here two, okay, so three alliances, right? So what this is showing is that there is, at minimum, right, averaging 2 to 4 alliances that we're seeing going to Zone 3. This is just from 8 random kingdoms that I just decided to look up. So with this in mind, the thing to focus on here is that if the idea is to have as much activity and therefore as much player retention as possible, you have to create an environment in which we'll play to those strengths. What we're seeing here is kind of almost, in my opinion, being counterproductive. Why? Because the max amount of capacity, right, that you can have in a lion shell, let's just, again, averaging it out, right? I think it's around 150, 155. I guess 160 in this case, right? Never mind. I guess maybe it's increased. Well, back when I was playing, it was around 150, 155. So let's just say for sake of argument, right? It's around 155, 160 if we go off of this. It doesn't look like they're in KVK right now, so they're not necessarily building any additional flags. And who knows? I would imagine they're probably max tech here for the alliance capacity as well. So let's just go off of 160 for now. So you're 160, right? If you have 2 to 4 alliances, that means that you are averaging 320, to 640 players that you are having in Zone 3, which for most of us, right, with the ways that kingdoms are typically trending in, is that most kingdoms look at Zone 3 as your active, right, your activity, or your main active kind of fighting force that you're going to have, that is hopefully going to have the highest conversion percentage going from Zone 3 into KVK to go and fight. So if the idea is to have the most amount of active players, and therefore the most amount of players retained in the kingdom, why are we limiting ourselves to 2 to 4 alliances, 2 to 5 alliances if I want to give more conservative there, right? I like to kind of say 3 to 5, really. So if we're going 3 to 5 alliances, why are we limiting ourselves in that way if most players go off of who's in Zone 3 as being like the main gauge? Now, I personally don't believe that is that's the appropriate way to do it, and I'll probably talk about that in a separate video. However, without any precedence, most people think of, okay, well, there's Zone 1, I can go to Zone 2, now I can go to Zone 3. That's kind of the end game within a kingdom, within a home kingdom that you're trying to get to. And then the next stage is going to be going to KVK. So if most kingdoms perceive Zone 3 as being the end game, and we're only limiting it to 3 to 5 alliances, right? And yes, I understand the arguments there will be, a plethora, and we'll definitely talk about Zone 3 management and other things as well. However, to me, it does seem counterproductive, because if you're trying to have the most amount of activity and the most amount of player retention, you need to have, arguably, right, as many alliances as you can, right? If I had 9 alliances in Zone 3 out of 160, that would be, what is that, 540, 1440, is that right? 9 and 60, oh wow, it is. So, right, I would have 1,440 players active in the kingdom, right? Regardless if those players are in Zone 3 or not, it's more about the perception of building into what is the final zone, right? Like the final level, the final boss within the home kingdom, right? And it's that perception, that visual aid that players look at. And that's a part of the player psychology on what they are seeing as, oh, well, wow, there's a lot of alliances there. Oh, wow, my alliance is able to build in there. And because of that, now I have access regardless if I go in there or not. That is nice to have. These are just some thoughts that players will view this on, oh, well, my alliance wasn't able to make it into Zone 3, so, maybe I need to go and look to migrate out to see if I can get Zone 3 access. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. How many times people have, just because they weren't able to get into Zone 2, immediately left a kingdom, or they migrated out because they wanted to be able to get into Zone 2. So when you're thinking about player drop-off and how it plagues a kingdom every day, when you are cutting ties early with a kingdom's development on what you are denying or allowing factors so heavily into how much activity you're going to have throughout a sustained period. So here is where I will tell you, and I'll again dive into more of these things in a deeper way, but I will tell you what I truly believe and what I always look to build in kingdoms, which is off of my two common denominators, activity and player retention. So what I like to do in Zone 1s is I like to split Zone 1 provinces into thirds, right? Why do I do that? Because you have 6 altars and arguably 12 sanctums, right? 13, I think, for one of the provinces, because there's an odd number for one, at least on one of the map types. So, well, I guess technically it's all the map types because they just rotate 90 degrees. But I like to do it in thirds. Why do I do that? One, because if I do it in thirds, 3 times 6, I have 18 alliances that I'm able to bring into, arguably up to, right, Zone 2. What that means is that I have more alliances, right? If you're thinking about like the top 18 alliances over a period of time, or the top alliance in each province, right, which hopefully will eventually turn into the top 18 alliances in the kingdom, I'm now starting out with, even if that's just 50, right? What is that? 50, 18, 9. What am I looking at? 9? Hang on, let me do some math. It's 900. I was like, hey, that sounds about right. So, right, that's 900 players that I'm able to already have instilled in those alliances that, you know what? You're going to get a piece of the pie, and you're going to be able to develop. You're going to get territory. You're going to get structures. And because of that, you will be happy that you're able to play the game. That's the most important part. It's the daily life. It's not really about thinking about, oh, well, I need 2 main alliances for KVK, or these are the only ones that are going to fight and not, and, there's not enough tiles and all that stuff. Really, those things to me are very superficial. You have to think about, how does a player view what is happening in the kingdom, right? What is their daily life experience, right? They don't just care about progressing. They care about what is going on around them, right? The social aspect of playing. If you think about the amount of time that someone's coming onto a game to play, to do their stuff in RoK, it does not take you 5 hours to do everything, right? You can do your dailies, you can go out there and gather, you can do whatever weekly event is happening, if there's a certain time you guys come on to do your rallies, etc. That is not going to take you a plethora of time. You can do that in a short amount of time. So what that means is that the remaining time, you're most likely socializing, right? You're getting involved in, you're checking what's going on in the kingdom, right? What's the news for the day, right? Is there any drama going on, right? Whoever looks forward or doesn't. But you're really doing that. It's all about the daily experience. And again, that is, in my opinion, how you really build a kingdom. It's about looking at how you can give the most amount of people the best daily experience that you can, as one of the big factors outside of the 2 things I mentioned that factor into having good sustainability for a long period of time. So you do 3 alliances per, then you go into Zone 2, right? And you split sanctums up. You go sanctums 4, altars 2, with the exception of the one odd province. Then when you go to Zone 2, you do a split. So you do 1/3, same thing like you did Zone 1. So you're taking 9 alliances in. Each alliance gets a shrine. Then you go into Zone 3, and guess what? You take 9 alliances in there as well. And you split it like a pizza 9 ways. Main reason is because you have RSS tiles everywhere. You don't necessarily need, if you're thinking about gathering, right? A kingdom that is always gathering a tile and never leaving a tile open for too long, or having a shorter delay period between when a tile is recognized and they go out and gather it, you have a higher chance of that happening, which means that because you're doing that, right, your tiles are resetting more often, meaning that your kingdom is arguably gathering more than the next kingdoms or other kingdoms within your continent by doing it in this way. In addition, you also have, even if you're just looking at the resources, right? Sure, Zone 3 has good, very rich, but you still have rich, you still have good, rich, and very rich tiles or areas in Zone 2. So those tiles will still spawn. It's just the very rich tiles, right? Would not be. And this is mainly for like your RSS, right? Again, your RSS tiles when you're flagging, right? You're going to be able to get those, especially when you think about getting through Zone 2 and Zone 1. There's a lot of tiles you'll be able to get. In addition, even with the gathering tiles, specifically outside of the ones that you're going to flag to. Excuse me for not differentiating. So those are things that you're going to have access to, right? The only difference is that you're going to have one tile, which is, oh gosh, where is it here? I have to actually zoom in now to find this stuff. Right? So you're going to have your, oh god, what is it? I believe it's 5. Unless I've gone cray. Yeah, so it's 6, right? So 6 is going to be the highest tile that you're going to get in your Zone 3. When I go over to Zone, am I in Zone 2 now? Oh, here we go, cool. Right, so when I go into Zone 2, you're still going to be able to get 6s. Right, and so the thing is that really you're just looking at RSS deposits that are mainly going to be there. You're still going to be able to grab gathering tiles as much as flagging tiles. The only difference is that some of the levels and maybe the amount of them may vary depending if you're in Zone 3 or Zone 2. However, it goes back to what I was saying before, is that if you want to try and build a kingdom appropriately, where you're going to focus on trying to have the most amount of activity, the most amount of retention, this is pretty much how you have to do it. Now remember, I don't want to say pretty much how you have to do it, but if you're going along these lines, this one option, this one route on how to build a kingdom makes sense. It doesn't mean that you necessarily have to take every single alliance into KVK with you, even though you could. A lot of what it comes down to is trying to build something that is more than just you wanting or an individual wanting for there to be 2 kingdoms or 2 alliances, right? Or a small number of fighting alliances. There are different ways to do it. And over time, right? Now I've done this in another kingdom builder and it worked out beautifully. And I'm going to do this in RoK, and I can't wait until I'm able to show how it looks when you get to this type of a situation, and it will be beautiful. And it will break the mold and really pioneer how players start to view kingdoms in RoK and how important management is, how important development is. And so with that in mind, I would love to hear from you, right? Are you in a kingdom where you are kind of within that 3 to 5 alliance range for your Zone 3? Do you notice that factors into any of your conversion? Because remember, we're talking about having the most amount of players converted over to KVK to generate as many fighters and as much activity around a 24-hour period. So if you are in a kingdom and you kind of fall into that 3 to 5 range, let me know what your experience has been like. Have you been in a kingdom where they've tried to do 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, 9 alliances in Zone 3? How did it go? What was the prep like? What was the organization like? Those are big factors as well, but I would still love to hear the experience. With that being said, that is it for me on this kind of high-level overview of what I think it really takes and why I think it's so important to have as many active alliances kept. That factors into activity and retention for as long as you possibly can. And then we're going to start doing some deep dives into zone breakdown, why we do those things, taking a look at like some resource allocation, other areas as well. But I would love to hear your thoughts. Let me know anything and everything in the comments down below. That's it for me. Until next time, I'll catch you later.